Thank you, McFarlane. It's been a very busy 45 minutes here outside the Western Cape High Court. We were expecting a fairly long judgment, but within five minutes it was all over. And the man of the hour is here with me. J. Arthur Brown, found guilty on 2 convictions relating to the financial saga. Mr. Brown, thank you very much. This case started in 2007. It's lasted between 5 and 6 years. You were found now guilty on 2 of the charges brought against you. Just what are you feeling at the moment?
Well, I've been vindicated on the main issues. And the main issues being, originally I was arrested on 197 counts. I was accused of having run the biggest pyramid scheme in the history of the country. Various people have been on the record about that, and I've been found guilty on 2 counts of fraud in respect of technical issues, contractual issues, and in the end, in the final analysis, I think it's the right outcome.
During interviews during the course of this trial, you've told reporters that you've in fact had a very difficult time in your life with regard to your personal and your private and your business life. Just 6 years after you were after running a very successful business, where are you currently sitting at the moment?
Well, this judgment obviously ends this chapter in my life. We'll start mitigation in 2 weeks' time, and when that is finished, then I'll start planning the future.
With regards to sentencing arguments that start the 29th of April, the NPA is still saying that they will be bringing forward argument against you, saying that you could face a minimum sentence of 15 years. Will you be fighting that argument? What will you be bringing forward in mitigation of your sentencing?
Well, the NPA must do their job. I must just say this. I must commend Advocate van Vuuren and his team. It's been a rocky road with the NPA initially, and when this team came onto the case, the relationship changed, and it was much more respectful and professional. In respect of mitigation, the state must ask what they think is reasonable, and we will obviously fight it. I think there's lots of factors that will come into play. The thing about mitigation is, I always said I'll tell my story in court, and I now get the opportunity to tell the story. I will be going on the stand and testifying, giving the history of Fidentia, the curatorship, and everything that happened in the last 6 years that is relevant to whether or not an extensive jail term is the result.
With regard to that money that is said to have gone to minors, widows and orphans, we're talking about a 1 billion rand that is said to have gone missing. Is there anything that you would then want to say to those beneficiaries of that trust in which you were then accused of taking that money?
Well, firstly, I'm innocent on that. Secondly, it is time that those beneficiaries pursue the curators in respect of what became of that money, what became of the assets. I think it is quite evident, and there are court cases running both in the Western Cape and in Gauteng regarding the conduct of the curators, in how those assets were dealt with, and the fact that at this point in time, as I understand it, they've only recovered, inverted commas, 300 million rand. As far as I'm concerned, it's an impossibility, because they took over a company with 2 billion rands worth of assets, all of which generating income. And if one goes through the curator's reports, it's quite evident that those assets were sold for values that were extremely low. And therefore, the responsibility for those losses vests in the curatorship.
That's J. Arthur Brown here, just 45 minutes after being found guilty on 2 counts in his case. It brings to close a 9-year chapter, he says, in his life. He says despite being found guilty on 2 counts of fraud, he feels vindicated, still willing to tell his story when sentencing procedures then start on the 29th of April. Back to you, McFarlane.
Well, thanks for that, Lester. That was
News that moves. eNCA.com.